Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 22, The Wildebeest Implementation. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the Cub Scouts, snakebite myths, the history and reasoning behind high-heeled shoes, the symbolism of the color orange, and public indecency. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot
Make yourself a grasshopper
and enjoy the ride. Hello, my little wildebeest. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, my wildebeest?
Amazing. What a great episode. The
This
wildebeest implementation.
I have a star by it because I don't want to forget it. Like I've started putting stars by my notes. For the ones that stuck out to me, this one got a solid star.
Yes. Oh, Amy and Bernadette stole the show. Like, I feel like they've been doing that a lot lately. Like,
Right?
they've been they're being highlighted very well.
I feel like Howard and Raj used to steal it, but now Bernadette and Amy are really getting in that spot. They're doing a great job. I love it.
Oh, amazing. This was such a great episode.
Yes.
I found a couple pretty good IQ points, too, so I'm really looking forward to our discussions.
Mine were short, but I thought they were still interesting, and I learned stuff. So
Yeah, I learned a lot, too. So, all right. So, before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. We have an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We like emails, and we also like 5-star reviews. So leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we will give you a shout out.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little quiet today, or in the last couple weeks, so we'll just dive into the episode.
Yeah, get going.
Yeah. So this is Season 4, Episode 22, The Wildebeest Implementation. Aired May 5th, 2011. Written by Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and teleplay by Eddie Gorodetsky. Directed by Mark Sandrowski. So opening scene, we're in the bathroom, and Penny, Bernadette, and Amy are all in there, and they're having some girl time, some little girl bonding, and Amy is just loving it. She's finally part of a girl group. And she keeps talking to Penny, and Penny's trying to go, and it's not really going so well, and she kind of just says, F it, let's just go.
I'll figure it out. Do you get
Yeah.
bladder shyness or
No,
no?
I'm pretty good about it, yeah.
I have in the past, and I've had to work it out. But like, those cases where like I'm about to go, and then like three guys walk up and get all the urinals next to me, and I'm like, I suddenly don't have to go anymore. So circumstances can. I understand what bladder shyness is like. I can empathize with. Yeah, Penny here.
Suddenly, all just got sucked back up.
Wow, what happened there?
Now we cut to the shoe shop, and we learn that Bernadette and Howard got invited to dinner with Priya and Leonard. And Amy sees right through this. I love it. How just instantly she's like, it's a trap.
It's a trap.
She thinks that Priya is trying to create a wedge, and it's a strategic maneuver, and she's testing Bernadette's loyalty. And then she calls Bernadette the weakest member of the Wildebeest group, thus the name of the episode. And I like Bernadette's reaction. She's like, why am I the weakest?
That's something. There are a couple things in this that I was confused with because I think in the past too, Bernadette has been so vocal on doing things like breeding different virus strains, right? Ebola with the common cold, or what was it? And like now she's like considered the weakest. I'm like, I don't like on the surface I see her as the weakest, but like deep down I don't think she is the weakest. So anyways, I was wondering about that.
Well, not to go into too many spoilers, but she will illustrate her strength in the future.
She's gonna come out full Bernadette.
Yep. We're only at partial Bernadette right now.
Love it.
Well, Amy describes why she is the weakest. She says that she has a trusting nature coupled with her teeny tiny body, and that she wouldn't last a minute in the Serengeti. And then she also, but then Penny assures them that she doesn't care, and then she goes on to insult Priya for wearing too much makeup. So obviously she does care.
That was I think she wears too much makeup, but what's the harm with her?
Well, Bernadette tries to illustrate her loyalty by just assuring, "I'm not gonna go. We're just gonna cancel. We're not gonna go." But then Amy's like, "Nope, you gotta go. This is your chance. You can spy on them."
Double agent.
Yep. And Bernadette's like, "Whoa, what's the problem? You just called me the weakest link. I'm just a teeny tiny wildebeest." And then Amy, diabolical, says, well, first she says like, "You are, and your hair smells like strawberries." But she's diabolical because she's going to use it to their advantage. And then Bernadette just isn't very comfortable with this because we go back to her background of being a Catholic girl that they kind of beat out all the lying. So she's a good girl that tells the truth. So she's a little worried.
Gave myself a point like this because I went to a Catholic high school, all boys, not all girls, or I don't think she says all girls, just Catholic school, but I went to an all boys Catholic school, and I can't tell a lie, but I don't think Sheldon's good at lying either. So I'm like, I don't think this is a point either side, because I think Bernadette and Sheldon are both terrible at lying, and yeah, it's just, but it did catch my attention because I'm like, I understand how she feels. I cannot tell a lie. I don't know if that's the Catholic school in me, but I definitely went there, and I can't tell a lie now, so there we go.
Did you get beaten for lying? Did it happen, or did you witness someone else?
We didn't get beaten, but we did have regular what's that called? Confessions. So you have to go and tell the priest like all the bad things you did. I threw garbage in the hallway. I called my mom I don't know, bitch. I don't think I ever called her a bitch, but something like that. And they would say like, okay, say 5 Hail Marys and try to do a good deed or whatever. And I think they made a big deal about lying was a big deal, and you should confess lying, and you should feel very guilty if you have lied. In fact, not confessing is a lie, and like if you don't confess everything, you're lying to God. So.
All right, so they really infiltrated your mind.
They beat my mind. They didn't beat me. They beat my psyche.
But you want to know who is an expert at lying? Amy. She is an expert because she did 2 years of Cub Scouts before she got caught.
So I did an IQ point on this because I've heard different things, and I'm still not sure if I completely understand, but I was curious of whether or not Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts accepted girls, and whether or not Brownies and Girl Scouts accepted boys. And for some reason in my brain, Boy Scouts did not take girls at all, and Girl Scouts took boys. And I found out I was pretty much wrong, but it's very much more complicated. So I'm going to start off with Boy Scouts. First off, Cub Scouts are ages 7 to 10. Basically, they say on their website, scouting.org. 1st through 5th grade is Cub Scouts. Boy Scouts is ages 11 through 17 years old. And apparently before 2018, girls were not allowed, from my understanding. There might have been some differences here and there because if I get this right, packs may have had different rules, or different dens might have decided different things. But as of 2018, dens could decide if they want to remain all boys, start a new girl pack, or have packs of girls and boy dens. And I'm kind of confused about this, the difference between packs and dens, but it kind of seems like people got to decide, are we going to have a group that's just boys, have a group of boys here and a group of girls over here, or are we going to have a single group that's a mix, or maybe all three? That the organization was leaving it up to the individual districts, I suppose. However, Cub Scout dens remain all boys or all girls. So technically there are girl dens of Cub Scouts, but they are not necessarily woven into the boy groups unless they do activities together. But like on meetings, it's all boys or all girls. But a pack can include dens of both boys and girls. So basically, I'm understanding it as a pack is kind of a collection of dens, and then each den for Cub Scouts gets to decide, are we boys or are we all girls? But for Boy Scouts, you get to decide, are we all boys, are we all girls, or are we going to be a mix? So if anybody knows differently than that, because that was new to me, because I had always heard that Boy Scouts were all boys all the time, and that the rules changed in 2018. I guess when this aired, like, it would have been all boys, so it makes sense, especially when Amy was a kid, right? Girl Scouts, on the other hand, which I had heard allows boys, I'm reading now on girlscouts.org, and apparently there's different Girl Scout org websites. I found one just for .org and then one for girlscoutsnyc.org. But apparently they don't allow boys, and that's really key because they really push for, as this website said, an oasis of women, of female empowerment. And it was, I can't say I fully agree with it, but it was a thoughtful article, and I support it nonetheless. It mentioned that girls are often, what would it say, 99% of their females' lives will be spent alongside boys. So it makes sense to have this outlet where they are only around women to see how do they identify in a group of all women. And they mentioned that girls are often not given as much attention in school, and that causes them not to raise their hands as much. Which is weird to me because I always found in my schools that women tended to be, I'm not going to say they were smarter than guys, but they tended to be smarter than the guys, and they tended to raise their hands a lot more. But I know that my school setting was different than other people's, and then things shifted because I went to an all-boys high school, and that discredited everything. All my, not sure how a high school goes at all for other people. It also mentioned, this article mentioned that 1 in 10 girls are catcalled before their 11th B-days. So 10% of women are getting called before they're 11 years old.
Oh my god, by who? By just other, 11-year-old boys?
It didn't really say, but I'm guessing it's probably older men, because there are a lot of creepy old men out there. So, that makes sense that there's this oasis protecting them in these developmental years from what influences and different influences that could be caused by masculine energies. That's not right. Thoughts, I guess. So they consider Girl Scouts to be the male gaze, which they shouldn't be experiencing at all. So I'm I don't know if I support an all girls thing, but at the same time I don't support 11-year-old girls being catcalled. So, this is a solution, and I support the solution, because fuck, that's so messed up.
Well, it's also a little bit of, I don't know what the right terminology is, but it's understanding within your peer group, because it reminds me of sex education. It's why would the female teacher be teaching boys about male anatomy? You should get a male teacher to teach about the male anatomy, and vice versa. So it could be something like that, where it's kind of they're being proactive about trying to create a safer environment of understanding.
Yeah. And that, I think that's exactly what I'm seeing from it, is a safer environment, and allow them that space to explore themselves. And maybe it fits them, maybe not, but at least they have the option for that space. And so one of the things was too that, where was it? Girl Scouts can be placed without gender social pressures, but also mentioned that there is a stereotype, this harmful stereotype, that people assume that if it's an all girls group, that there's going to be a lot of cattiness and like clickiness, and they say that's a untrue and dangerous, harmful stereotype. And I'm curious if other women or other people have had experiences with this. If you want to send us an email, because it's, I've never been in an all female group, so I can't say. But from my friends who are women who have talked about, like, I went to an all boys school, so I've talked to women who went to all girls schools. They have said, yeah, it gets very, very catty. And I thought it was interesting because I always compared it to my all boys school, and I might have just lucked out. But when I went from a public male female school, boy girl school, to all boys, bullying, at least for me, went down like 99%. And it led me to feel that guys compete for female attention. And when you take the female attention out, they have no reason to compete. And guys who, like, I had no reason, like football players, I'd eat lunch with them. The nerds, I'd eat lunch with them. The drama club, I could sit down and eat lunch with them. Nobody really cared. And, that might have just been my experience. But the only time I really got bullied, it wasn't even a bully, it was kind of just like a fight escalating, was a guy who was like 2 years younger than me, and he just straight up did not like my face, and literally said to his friends, like, look at his face, he's weird. And so it wasn't bullying, but just one guy particularly didn't like me, and his friends didn't give a shit, and it got resolved pretty quickly, but he wasn't even in my grade. I didn't even know the fucker, right? So I'm curious
He's
if
just trying to act like top shit.
Yeah,
That's really it.
he was trying to. But in my experience, the all boys school, bullying went down, the clickiness went down. But again, my school was, only a couple hundred students in my grade. It was relatively small, so I can't base anything off it. But I do think it's interesting that this website was saying that the cattiness is a harmful stereotype, and it's just not true. I'm curious of what other people have to say about that and other experiences, just to learn. So anyways, that was from the general website. Then NYC, because I was like, where the hell did I get that boys could come from, join the Girl Scouts? And it's not necessarily boys, but according to girlscoutsnyc.org, they do welcome cisgender girls, gender expansive, non-binary, intersex, and transgender youth between the grades of K through 12. And the quote I got is, they know firsthand the value of spaces that center around sisterhood and girl experiences and celebrate the multifaceted and evolving nature of those experiences. So basically, it's not necessarily about judging, oh, what genitals you have. It's about, do you identify as female, and can you participate in this oasis of womanhood, of femininity? And apparently the group is about valuing yourself and celebrating the differences between you and other people who do identify as female. So I'm guessing that's where I got that notion from, that if somebody does identify as female, they are welcome in, but technically boys who identify as male it's not their place. They don't want to be there anyway. So that's my understanding of it. But again, I think what we found here, Amy's accurate, that at that time she would have had to have snuck into the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts to get in, and Girl Scouts don't allow boys. So that was my IQ point. I learned some stuff, and I'm curious what other people have to say about all girl groups versus all boy groups. And yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that with the Girl Scouts, and that's actually why I really like them so much, is that they're very strong allies to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. I think that's exactly where I was getting. I had heard that, but for some reason I was thinking that they allow boys, but I'm guessing somebody twisted that and, oh, they're allowing a trans individual. They're just letting boys in now. And I must have heard some mutation of that. But yeah. I support it. I think that's cool. So yeah, that's my IQ point.
Nice. Well, Amy now wants to know if Bernadette is okay with planting a recording device in her ample bosom. And then she calls for strawberries, very seductively. Want strawberries. Take one for the team.
Take one for the team.
Now we're on to the credits. Then next scene, Leonard is on his way out, and then Sheldon stops him to tell him about his advancements in three-person chess. He solved the balance center combat area problem with 5 words: transitional, quadrilateral to triangular tessellation. And I did not look into that because that sounds really boring.
It, yeah, I thought about it too, and I think the chess game sounds awesome. And I almost gave myself a point because I might have mentioned this. I own a 4-person chess game, and I love the idea of multiple player chess, but it doesn't have any new figures, and it really just solved the issue by basically having a chessboard and recessing each player's pieces. And it's not great. There were some issues with it, but it was fun, right? But 3-person chess, like that's oh over my head, but I love the concept of it.
Well, I didn't do an IQ point, but I did look a little bit into three-person chess
Yeah.
just to see if it existed before him or if this was a creation from The Big Bang Theory. And the answer is Big Bang Theory did not create this.
Oh.
They did not create the concept of it. Three-person chess, the first documentation of it was actually in 1999. And then several versions have arose since then, and they all kind of just have different sets of rules. So what Sheldon is doing is definitely a lot more intricate than anybody else's. Honestly, it sounds like they just threw in a bunch of stuff just to overcomplicate it, and they don't even have a set of rules.
Yeah, that's my thinking.
I mean, a real book, like a real rule book.
Looking at the spaces, like I don't think like not all the spaces were even, and I don't believe you could have a fair game of chess if the spaces aren't even in length or whatever in area, or something. I don't know, but I can say too that my 4-player chess game, I order it out of a copy of SkyMail. Those things that you find in the back of your airplane. SkyMall, that's what it is. SkyMall. And yeah, shit. I loved it, but I still have it. But
Was it hard finding 3 other people to play with you?
You know, I used to have sleepovers in high school and middle school into high school where like I would have 4 to 5 people over every weekend, and my basement was just kind of the hangout spot, and that's how we would get like the 4-player GoldenEyes going, 4-player Halo when that finally came out. And so sometimes we would do Magic the Gathering, and then when I got that, we tried a couple 4-player games of chess. So back in those days, people were regularly coming over on weekends, and it wasn't too hard. Now I feel like trying to get it going would probably be tougher.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Sheldon has a bunch of new pieces. So he has the serpent and the old woman. He says when the serpent slithers to an opposing player's piece, that piece is considered poisoned and will die after 2 more moves. And then, unless it gets to the old woman in time, in which case she will suck out the poison and turning her into the Grand Empress, a piece combining the power of the Knight, Queen, and Serpent.
I love that dynamic that he's gonna die, but if you get it to the queen, you get special powers. Or the old woman, right?
The old woman, yeah.
And I did an IQ point on this, and I did it because he's partially right and partially wrong. And what I thought, well, yeah, I questioned both things. First of all, know that there is a difference between venomous creatures and poisonous creatures. And knowing this, how you have to understand what venom and poison are, right? Poison is a chemical that can enter your system, a toxin, specifically a toxin, that you can inhale, swallow, or absorb through your skin, and it can make you ill. So this could be like a frog that like just like sweats like poison, and if you touch the frog, it can make you sick. I believe pufferfish has toxins in it that would be poison because if you eat them, it makes you sick. Venom is a specific type of poison that has to be injected. Or it's supposed to be injected. And simply like having it on your skin or touching the creature makes it, doesn't mean you're going to get sick. Like this, they have to bite you to inject this poison. And there's probably more to it on a molecular scale, but knowing that venomous creatures bite you and make you sick, poisonous creatures, you touch them and they make you sick, or they maybe shoot out spores or something. I don't know. Uh, but the big thing here is, so technically a venom is a type of poison, from my understanding now. And so he's not wrong to say it suck out the poison because it is a poison, but technically it's venom. It's snake venom, right? It wouldn't be poison that rubbed off on the snake. The snake would have had to have bitten. The other part is you don't suck out venom. That is a myth. And I've heard this several times. So I went to SERB Pharmaceuticals, 5 common snake bite myths. One is don't tourniquet a wound. People often say tourniquet will keep the venom from going into your heart. And the website did say, like, keep the appendage like heart level. But for the most part, tourniquets have a tendency to cause more damage than good. And, you have to get the person to a hospital. Second myth is ice doesn't deactivate venom. Sometimes, I've never heard this, but apparently some people believe if you put ice on a snake bite, it slows or stops the venom. Not necessarily true. Also, it says that you don't really need, at least if you're in the United States, you don't really need to catch the serpent to know what's poisoned you, what venom you have. Because in the US, like 99% of bites, I think it's a 98%, are North American pit vipers. And most people will just assume you got bit by one of this category of snake. And getting a photo can be very helpful, but if it's between let's track down and get a photo of the snake or get this person to the hospital, always get the person to the hospital. That should be your number one thought. I also hadn't heard this one, but it's a myth that copperhead bites aren't really that harmful or fatal. And technically they can be very harmful. They may not cause death, but they are still very harmful. And the fifth myth, sucking venom out doesn't work. Apparently this is perpetuated by cowboy movies. And interestingly enough, an old Boy Scouts handbook. Apparently, sucking out venom just doesn't really work. And if it did, you would get the venom in your mouth, and that could cause other problems with swallowing poison or getting into wounds in your mouth. And then you're now sick as well. So that's problematic. And then it brought up snake kits, which are supposed to suck venom out. And it gave a study that suggested that in experiments, snake bite kits sucked out bloody fluid, but no venom. And so the venom's already in your bloodstream and it's gone. Sucking it out, not going to work. Snake bite kits don't work out. Don't bother with that shit. Get the person to a hospital. So anyways, I thought it was interesting that I had heard both. Well, first of all, that technically I would have called it venom, not poison, but venom is a type of poison, so okay. But sucking it out doesn't really work. It's probably going to cause more harm than good. You really need an anti-venom. Oh, you're muted.
Yep, I'm utilizing my mute button because the kid's crying in the background.
Oh, fair enough.
I learned my lesson. But it's really good to know. It's like you said, like growing up, I always watched cowboy movies, and that's what they always did. They brought it up in City Slickers. They did it in, God, it was a recent movie with I remember Haley Steinfeld was in it. The dude, Frank, what's
Jeff
his
Bridges.
name? Jeff Bridges is in it. He was a cowboy. Yeah, they did it in that too. But yeah, there was a couple other ones where it happened. Yeah. Hollywood, you lied to me.
Why would you do that? I thought everything you said was true.
Oh. Wait, so there isn't a giant Godzilla monster in the ocean in the Pacific? You lied to me?
No, that one's true, Rob. That one's true.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Anything else on snake bites?
That's it.
It's fun. It reminds me of like one of the first cocktails I was really into was called a snake bite. I think it was amaretto and lime juice. And you put it into like a shot and you just take it.
Was it good?
You know what? When you first start getting into alcohol, nothing's really good. So this was tolerable.
You're not drinking it because it's good. You're drinking it because it's there.
Yes. You're drinking it because you need to get somewhere.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, Leonard tries to leave, and he says he's looking forward to playing with him, and then Sheldon corrects him that it's and a third person. Boy, you're not as sharp as as you once were when you were single.
The sex
Back
is
to what we were
draining his
saying.
brain.
Yeah, yeah. Back to what we were saying. It's the women in our lives that are so distracting. We could be accomplishing so much more.
I could have cured cancer and global hunger, but no, I had
like
to fall in love.
It's like in season 1, the little Korean kid who escaped North Korea. He could have gone to great heights, but then you know what? He found a girlfriend.
Yeah. The
David
genius.
Kim? Daniel Kim? Yeah. But he finally leaves, and then he bumps into Amy, who also got new shoes. And she says that he compliments her shoes, and then she says, "Thank you. Did you know that women wear high heels to make the buttocks and breasts more prominent?" And then he leers. Ugh. Leonard, don't you leer. You have a girlfriend.
And she kind of struts away too, right?
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, her version of strutting, since she doesn't wear heels very often. But I did an IQ point on this. So the question that I looked into is, 1, is it true? And 2, is that the purpose of high heels? So this got kind of interesting and kind of fun. I didn't think that I'd have this much fun looking into shoes in general.
I looked
Let
into
alone
this
high heel
too,
shoes.
and like I found some discrepancies, and I don't know exactly what, like, I don't know. I want you to go first because I'm
Yes.
curious of what you found. And
So we're going to start. We'll answer those questions, but let's start with the history of the high-heeled shoes. Because obviously we care about this kind of stuff. But there are some
Yeah.
fun factoids. I mean, that's the purpose of this.
Exactly.
This show.
We wouldn't be here if we didn't care.
Yes. Well, high heel shoes can be dated as far back as 3500 BC in ancient Egypt, and they were worn by both men and women. This was actually a status symbol of the upper class. The higher you are physically meant you had a higher social status. And then we fast forward to the ninth century in Persia, which is now Iran. Cavalrymen used to wear cowboy boots with a heel to secure their feet into stirrups. So it was actually a practical application. And now we go to the 16th century in Europe, where high heel shoes were still dominantly worn by men to signify prestige. So the shoes would often have intricate designs and materials to emphasize luxury. King Louis XIV was known to have popularized high-heeled shoes, as he wore them with distinct red soles to symbolize his power and authority. His influence led to the widespread adoption of high heels in French fashion. And then in the 18th century, that's actually where the trends shifted, and it became predominantly female fashion, and men just started switching towards flats. But in all the websites that I found, it never really explained why. But then again, you don't really need an explanation in terms of fashion. Trends just happened.
Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't necessarily need a reason, but it would have been nice to kind of understand because, it was very, like, definitive in the past.
I found something that might hint at a reason, but it's not a full reason. And do you want me to wait till you're done, or just insert this now?
Go ahead and insert it now, because, yeah.
According to shoefairyofficial.com, they claim that in the 18th century, when this trend was happening, switching high heels from men's to women's shoes, it was around the same time as the emergence of pointed shoes and stilettos. And pointed shoes and stilettos were seen as more dainty and feminine, or according to this, it kind of made it sound like that was the case. And so it segued from older high heels being more like platforms, or like really just like thick, shoes with heels, to very like more dainty, pointed, and articulate, I guess, shoes. So maybe it has something to do with the fact that women were getting more into the fashion of like very refined stilettos and thin and pointy. So it could be connected to that. It doesn't really say why it died out for men not having heels, but you can see the slenderness maybe being seen more as feminine. So yeah, anyways, that might be, that's the only thing I
That
came
could be.
across.
Yeah, I mean, a trend is a trend.
Mm-hmm.
But these days in modern times, high-heeled shoes are now a symbol of femininity, power, and style. And fun factoid, the annual sales of high fashion footwear annually is an $8 billion industry.
Damn.
Lots of people buying lots of expensive shoes. So now with that kind of history lesson, we kind of go back to our the second part of our question as, do women specifically wear high heels in order to make their buttocks and breasts more prominent? So I found a study on the National Library of Medicine, that this is an article back in 2017 that discusses two cases to determine this. I mean, it's all for science, right?
It's for the science.
It's funny how you really can find a research study on anything.
Yeah, if you're dedicated to finding, I know students are like, I can't find any research studies for my research class. I'm like, look harder. They are
You're
out
not looking hard
there.
enough. It's out there. If somebody took the time to measure high-heeled shoes, it's out there.
Have you ever heard of that? What is that? Rule 64?
Or if it exists, there's a porn
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. It's kind of like that, but with research studies. If it exists,
Yep.
people have researched it.
Yep.
Somebody, I saw some meme of somebody saying, I've tried watching Alien Earth, but after Rule 64, aliens just turned me on now. I'm like, what?
What are you watching?
It
Oh my gosh.
exists.
It's there.
It's there.
Somewhere in the dark web, it exists.
If you want it to or not.
Yep. When that alien bursts out of the chest, oh man.
Oh man,
oh, mama.
it's thrusting out.
Well, back to the research study. The first thing that both studies did was determine if wearing high heels truly does alter the position of the body. And in short, the answer is yes. It does adjust the positioning of the body to make the buttocks and breasts more prominent. The study breaks down how they took measurements as well. So they basically did all the back end stuff to kind of establish, okay, these shoes or this style of shoe does do these things. But now the question well, before I go into that, we'll go into kind of how they figured that out too. So like all in the name of science. So they found out that it adjusts the lumbar curvature. So that is the optimal curvature level for maximum attractiveness. So people actually took the time to measure this. And apparently that number is an angle of approximately 45.5 degrees. A value that cues the ability to shift the gravid center of mass back over the hips and simultaneously avoids the adaptive problems of excessive lumbar curvature, or hyperlordosis, and insufficient lumbar curvature. So, follow-up question, is that really why women wear them? To attract a mate? And that leads to another question I was interested in is, do men like this? And according to research, yes, men do like this. And I'm not going to go into the whole research study of it all, but basically they deduced it down to it's all evolutionary. Like, why do men find this attractive? And it's evolutionary. Because in a heavy, huge nutshell, it sends a signal to men that these women have a better baby-bearing hips and that they are healthier because their posture is better. So, a quick breakdown of the two studies to kind of explain what they were looking at, and again, all in the name of science. Not a terrible research study from a men's perspective. Um, but pretty much men looked at women wearing heels and not wearing heels. They were shown in randomized order and were told to rate them on attractiveness. And in both studies, they found that when women wore high heels, men found them more attractive. So I guess a little note on the limitations of the research was that researchers did find pictures of the same women in both heels and non-heels, and in the second study they actually brought 56 women into their lab and told them to come to the lab wearing form-fitting clothing, meaning like skinny jeans or yoga pants, and to bring heels and flats.
Come
So
on, women, come on in.
I know.
Dun,
Like,
dun,
wow.
dun, dun, dun.
Come on, I'm just gonna take your photo now. Just turn that way. They must have paid out a lot.
Right. This is porn.
And to eliminate any bias of like racial identity, height, and other things like that, their photos were taken in a way that covered their face and their height.
Hmm.
But basically, in all the studies, men do like this. They do find it more attractive. And yep, there it is. That's why people wear heels.
I was. I have to throw this out because I'm kind of giggling over it. You know what the uncanny valley is with technology and robots?
I don't think so.
So the uncanny valley is this notion that when robots don't look like humans at all, we feel comfortable with them. If robots don't look like humans at all, we feel comfortable with them, and we can add some details to them, and we can say, oh, they're cute, they're adorable. So like if you take Wally, for instance, Wally's like a little robot block with rust on him and like two gadget arms and like eyes that look like, baby deer eyes, right? And people are like, oh, he's so cute. But if you start making him look more human, people start to get creeped out. So you get something like the Terminator, or better yet, the example that gets used is the kids on the movie The Polar Express, where they don't look quite human, but they don't look like robots, and so we feel uncomfortable. They're uncanny. They don't actually meet human criteria. And the more realistic they get, the more comfortable we start to get with them again, and then we're okay with it. So it's like this divide that if things look too human but not human enough, we're terrified by them. And so I'm thinking this curvature that the high heels give is like the opposite of that. That when women aren't curvature, men are like, it's okay, it's okay. But as the curvature starts, men start to like it. But there's a point, I'm guessing, where that curvature becomes too much and people are terrified of it. And I'm just thinking of like a woman bending over backwards, like, wow. Like, So apparently there's like a reverse uncanny valley with high heels. The curvature. But as you were talking, I was just picturing women in high heels like bending over backwards, partially because I just went to Spirit of Halloween. And one of the animatronic things was a girl who's supposed to be possessed, and if you push the button, she bends over backwards and screams at you. And I'm like, that's awesome. But maybe no high heels for her. So, yeah, I was going to add two things to that. One, I didn't look into the study at all about that. I thought that was interesting, but what I did find was on ScienceDirect.com was that part of the reason that people assume it's for attraction is that part of the reason women started wearing them in the 19th century is because photography started becoming a thing. And photographers decided, I guess, that women seem more attractive, more feminine, based on how they walked and the way they were structured for photographs, based on whether they were wearing high heels. So photographers often would have women wear high heels to accentuate their figure a little bit more. So it was interesting that technology actually played or supposedly, according to this, a role in furthering the popularity of high heels in women, because photographers were photographing. In fact, specifically, it talked about erotic photography. So there you go. It's all porn. The other thing I was going to get into, and I find this interesting because you said that you didn't find anything on it, and I always hear this, but I didn't find anything on it either, was that, we talked a little bit about before Persia that ancient origins Egypt had these, but according to what I found, they were always about elevated status. Like you were saying, the higher you are, the more well respected you are. But I actually heard that they originated with butchers, that butchers didn't want to get their actual shoes dirty in blood when they were cutting up animals, and so they wore high heels to help get them out of the muck of the butchery, butcher house, whatever. And I couldn't find any solid facts to back that up, even though I have talked to people, we've joked about it, and I've seen images of butchers wearing high heels to joke about this. I couldn't find solid evidence that that was the actual origin. So
that was sometime in the middle time. It wasn't like the origin, but like I did see something that in Europe, where the streets were just constantly like dirty and muddy and everything like that, they did wear heels to kind of elevate them so they would stay a little cleaner.
So there is something there, but yeah, nothing about Egyptian butchers necessarily, and it was always specifically Egyptian butchers originated. So maybe it was some sort of convoluted connection or mutation of those facts. But yeah, I also wanted to throw in here that it's interesting as well, because it seems weird to think, oh, they're more highly elevated physically, so they must be more respected. Today we technically have that with, like, if you live in the penthouse, you're higher up and you are seen as more elegant, like a higher, more elite status, right? And I've heard that, like, in ancient days, if you lived on a higher floor of a building, you were actually lower class. That higher ups actually lived on lower floors because they didn't have elevators, and they made the lower class walk up to the top floor, and the higher class could just walk into their building. So I still think it's interesting that we literally have that. If you're higher up, you have a higher apartment these days. And so there's some connection there. Anyways, that's what I had, so...
Well, I feel like I didn't research this, but it seems like taller people usually get a little bit more respect and stature.
Especially for guys, right? That guys have to be a certain height, or people are like, "Oh, he's not tall," which I always thought was silly, but it's definitely a thing.
Well, you're pretty tall, so you have a bias.
Right, I get to talk. Man, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm a shorty. I'm by far the shortest person here. Especially if I go to the office and everything. It's like, why is everyone so tall?
Okay. As you, like, walk into your mouse hole and close the door. Everybody's so big.
All right. Well, now we cut over to Raj's. Well, we're done with heels, right?
We're done. Okay. No more hills.
All right.
Shoe talk is now over.
Well, now we're over at Raj's, and Leonard arrives, and Raj is on his way out, and he has his own pity party because no one else will have a party for him or have sex with him. And Leonard tries to call him out. It's like, really? You're going to talk like that in front of your sister? And Priya is like, this is nothing new to me. I shared a room with them growing up.
I was confused by this because they come from a wealthy family. Why would they have to share a room?
Well, maybe because, they have 2 or 3 other siblings. So, I mean, even amongst wealth, maybe
they were doing it by
amongst
age?
Like 5 kids, or
because everybody I've known with, like, multiple siblings, like, the girls would sleep in a room and the boys would sleep in another room. And I was thinking that they only did this because they didn't have money for a bigger place, but it seemed weird that they would put a brother and sister in the same room, especially if they were well off.
Unless they actually found real wealth when they were a little older.
That could be too. That was something I was thinking of, that maybe they only became wealthy when they were, like, teenagers or going to college. So
after they paid off their student loans.
Yeah. Goddamn student loans. But goddamn, that's gross to think she knows about it because she roomed with him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't want to share a room with Raj.
No. Especially because doesn't he have the female commanders from Star Trek's uniform or something.
Yeah.
You're
Don't want to know what he did with that.
Don't want to know. But she accepts him as family, so good for her.
Yeah. Well, I love that Raj is really leaning into his sad pity party, saying he's going to wander the streets of alone. And then I just love how he just comes quickly back. Oh, it's chilly outside. I need my jacket.
I think my windbreaker. It's chilly.
So emo-ness has a little bit of a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we cut over to Penny's, and Penny is wearing her new shoes without touching the ground because she's contemplating if she wants to keep them because they're very expensive. And then the wildebeest has landed in the curry. Operation Priya wouldn't want to be ya is in action. And Penny's is like, what is happening right now? Didn't you get enough of this clicky stuff in high school? But then no. Amy didn't really have any friends. She was friends with the janitor until his wife called her a puta and made her stop.
What an experience, Amy.
Yeah. So Amy, like, it's just kind of like reaffirms that Amy is like living her best life right now. Like, she finally has like a friend core group and everything like that. It's with a popular girl too, so she's like living it up.
Yeah.
And then Amy goes on to tell Penny that Priya just made a snide remark about her acting career. So it's game on. Penny just dives into the game and tells her to tell Bernadette that she's flying to Prague to be in a movie with Angelina Jolie. And then Amy layers onto it by saying, we'll say it's in 3D. It means that the studio has faith in it.
It's going to show the studio has faith in it. It's in 3D.
Which, if anybody actually remembers back in 2012 and a little earlier, like when 3D made its comeback, it came back hard.
There's a big, I didn't do an IQ point on this, but it was, I remember James Cameron doing Avatar, saying, I want to do 3D. We have technology to do it better and more better quality, and to actually have it give substance to a film, as opposed to like 3D movies from like the 80s were basically really, really cheesy. And I feel like James Cameron did a fine job with Avatar. It's one of the only films where I'd say that the 3D effects give it more value, as opposed to just like jump scares or something. But like you said, like at that time, it seemed like every movie that studios were throwing money into, like, make it 3D. It was like, what was it? Final Destination 3.
Piranha 3D.
Piranha
Hello.
3D. Like, this doesn't need to be 3D.
I remember when some TV shows, like sitcoms, were jumping on that bandwagon for like a little bit too. Whereas like Scrubs did a 3D episode too.
I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I still remember there was one scene where they just like really leaned into it, where Elliot was like threw a shoe at somebody. They even did it in like slow motion too.
Did you ever see Harold and Kumar's Christmas special?
No.
There's it's technically the third one in the Harold and Kumar series, I believe, and one of the guys has an assistant give him a TV to get his father-in-law for Christmas, and the assistant goes, what is it? This is the best 3D TV. It will make Avatar look avatarded, and like points at the camera like this. And like technically the movie is in 3D, so if you're watching it in 3D, you see his fingers like pointing at you, and it goes to the guy. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the notion is like, it's just like making fun of those goofy, like the shoe effect. Like there's no reason for it, but you have to have something to illustrate the 3D.
Yeah.
So
they have no other way of doing it. Well, Amy's plan works, and Leonard hears of the news and he's very surprised, and he wonders why Penny didn't say anything. And Priya just pounces on that. Have you been talking to your ex-girlfriend? And Priya is like really good in this scene, how she's like just staring at him like slapping at her,
right.
her finger, they like just dirty look like,
Oh,
like
no.
Why do you care so much? And then Bernadette goes on to say that, oh, she's also dating an astronaut. But Leonard's pretty impressive too, as he sucks into his inhaler. Well, now we jump back over to the apartment, and Sheldon is playing three-person chess by himself, which does bug me a little bit. I know he's troubleshooting it and everything like that, but he gets on everybody's ass about bringing a third person. Yet he's playing by himself. So why couldn't you play with two people?
I felt the same way. He could be two people. In fact, if anything, I could see him saying, I will be the second person, because he doesn't trust other people. But saying you have to have a third person when he's playing by himself, I'm like, that was a stretch there.
Yeah. Well, Raj arrives and he needs a hug. And Sheldon instantly rejects him. So sad. Raj says that like he just needs a little love. He's just feeling a little blue. And then Sheldon kind of just associates the color. He finally clicks in. Oh, you mean as in depressed. Okay, I understand what you're talking about now. And then they assign orange as lonely. And
I got confused with that because he says green is jealousy, red is anger, blue is depressed, but you're saying blue as in lonely, and blue's not lonely. But I would say blue is definitely lonely. And my piece of evidence, this is an IQ point, but Elvis Presley's I'll Have a Blue Christmas isn't about necessarily depression. It's about I'm going to be lonely and sad without you. And so Sheldon's completely disregarding one of the staples of Christmas music and rock and roll history to say, blue is only depression. Blue is all those negative emotions. I'll have a blue Christmas without you. Being so lonely. I stand by that Elvis is singing about loneliness, not just depression, because he is alone for Christmas.
Well, for the joke, I totally understand it. I like your reasoning. You brought the facts, so you brought it hard.
I brought it hard. Fucking Elvis, baby.
Yeah, Elvis.
The king.
He's the king, so. But they assign orange because it doesn't have a rhyme, so it must be lonely. So that's pretty good logic too. But I know you love AI, so one quick AI search, and the actual answer is gray. Gray means loneliness.
Oh.
But colors also mean different things to different people and different cultures. So I did an IQ point on this.
Oh.
Yep. So it kind of, like I said, orange, I actually didn't look at... I did a breakdown of most of the colors, just like a little summary of what all the colors mean. But here's what orange specifically means in different countries. So in North America and Europe, orange has a strong association with autumn and agricultural harvest. In the Netherlands, orange is a royal color. In Central and South America, there are strong spiritual connotations with the orange, as it's associated with the earth and the sun in terms of culture and religious practice. In Asian countries, China and Japan associate orange with good things, meaning financial prosperity or good health. And in India, it's a sacred color among Hindus. And here is what colors mean in the United States. So color is a form of nonverbal communication. That is, colors can awaken thoughts of memories, stimulate the senses, and represent abstract ideas. And this is what every color means in America, only because we actually live in America. So, blue is the color of honesty, stability, and calmness. It also conveys trustworthiness and is often used by authorities. Red is the color of passion, energy, and action. In the meaning of colors, red also conveys aggression and danger. Yellow is an uplifting color that enhances creativity and communication. In color psychology, yellow is also considered the color of cowardice and impatience. Green is the color of life, nature, and growth. Green is more than a color, it's a verb. On the other hand, this color also communicates enviousness and greediness. Orange is the color of adventure, spontaneity, and dynamism. Dynamism.
Dynamism. That's a hard word.
Yeah.
Wow.
At the same time, orange also means exhibitionism and superficiality. Purple is the color of imagination, supernatural, and spirituality. In the meaning of colors, purple is full of wisdom, but also carries some level of arrogance and immaturity. That's my favorite color, so I don't know what that says about me.
You are kind of like a kid.
Yeah.
And you're so short, too. You're basically.
Shut up, poopy face. Black is the color of power, elegance, and mystery. It is highly misunderstood. Black is also used to symbolize fear and evil. White is the color of purity, innocence, and simplicity. Other positive color meanings are cleanliness and a great sense of order. However, it also communicates friendliness and coldness. Pink is the color of romance, unconditional love, and sympathy. From a negative color meaning, it can also suggest immaturity and unrealistic ideas. So that's color. So orange is not lonely.
I was gonna add, this is you said it, for your European descent, North America, but I know in Asian countries it can be different. Different countries, different stuff. But I remember, gets me started on this is in the U.S. white is usually given for purity. And so, like, we have white wedding gowns, right? And it's the purity of the bride, the virginity, I suppose. And some Asian countries, it's red wedding dresses. And I always thought that was interesting, but it's considered lucky or considered powerful, I suppose. But also in terms of purity, have you ever watched the movie Japanese film Pulse? It got an American remake that was just complete utter shit. But this movie, not the best horror film I ever saw, but there's a part with, I don't know how to describe it, but anybody who has seen it will always remember this part that there's like a creature in the corner of this room, and a guy's so scared he's standing there watching the creature, and whoever the director got like a acrobat or something, aerobics gymnast to do the part, and it's just like I remember it being like 5 minutes. It might have been 30 seconds for all I know, but it stretches out, and it's the creature getting up and just walking slowly, and every now and then it kind of dips down and like almost looks like it staggers, and then walks a little bit closer. Creepy ass.
Is it wearing
scene.
high heels?
It might actually be. That curvature says it all.
That lumbar curvature. Well, hello.
But in the movie, to protect themselves from these undead creatures, they use red tape. And I'm like, what the fuck's up with all this red tape? And then somebody's like, oh, it's supposed to be like purity and keeps the evil out. I'm like, that might be worth knowing if I ever have undead spirits I need to keep out. So red, like, really important color. And white often means death, where in the US, white is usually purity, virginity. Although we get something like the pale horse in the Bible, right? That death rides. And it's considered, it's not necessarily white. I guess it's more gray than anything. So it could be death, but usually it's considered pure. But I'm also reminded of a scene from that old show, The Critic, where a girl is going to a debutante ball and she's picking out a dress, and they say, okay, you have to be honest now because we're really, really careful with our colors and deliberate. White means you are a virgin, and we want to hold that as true as possible. If you're not, that's fine. We'll just give you like a cream colored dress. And she goes, it's a white dress, but maybe cream gloves. I watched that when I was like 8 years old, and I'm like, fuck, I get that. And I still remember
I got.
So colors mean a lot of shit. It's cool stuff. Cream gloves.
Anything else on color?
That's it. That's all I got. I'm glad you did that IQ point. Brought up some memories.
Well, Raj asks if he can play with Sheldon the three-person chess, and he is again quickly rejected. But he does offer Raj a hot beverage, but since he's feeling orange with because he's feeling orange with loneliness, But he's out of tea, so he offers bouillon.
It is protocol to offer a hot beverage in a time of need.
Yes, it is. Well, Raj tries to get Sheldon to put interest in him, but he just wants to work on his chess game. It was a nice back and forth about, like, pay attention to me. Oh, I think I found a new solution for my problem. He's wondering if he could add a third piece, Prince Joey, the king's feeble-minded but well-meaning cousin. Every time he moves, there's a 1 in 5 chance he'll kill himself.
I love that line. 1 in 5 chance he offs himself.
His game sounds really dumb, but is very clever and creative at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Very imaginative.
Yeah. Raj then mentions a drug that he could take for his social anxiety. But Raj is afraid because it'll mess with his brain. And that's like his bread and butter. It's like his whole identity, so he's a little worried about that. And then Sheldon is a total dick about it. Rajesh, I've had the privilege of working alongside you for many years. My recommendation is that you gobble up these like Tic Tacs. So rude.
Mean Sheldon.
Well, now we cut back over to Raj's apartment, and they're playing Jenga, and they are playing it incorrectly, I might add. I don't know if you actually watched this, but they were stacking them on the top incorrectly.
What were they doing?
You have to finish a row before you cross it. They had 2 on the edges, and they put it on top of it crosswise. You have to finish a row.
Yeah. You know, I didn't notice that, but now that you mention it, I kind of recall seeing them doing something weird like that. So, by finish row, you have to do 3, like, or are you just saying 2? Yeah. Yeah, I recall that.
They had 2 and they crossed it, but they have to do the 3. Then they're able to cross it. That's the rules of Jenga.
Mm-hmm.
You could pull it from anywhere you want as long as it's below that top row, but then when you stack it, it needs to be, you have to complete a row.
So that you can continue up. If you make it that high, you continue on the rows you've already completed. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, Howard is questioning Bernadette's story. How, like, most astronauts live in Texas. Where would Penny have met one? And Bernadette is so defensive. And then she starts digging her own grave. They question Penny's new job in Prague, and she says that that's maybe where they met. And why would an astronaut consult in this movie when it's about 18th century Vienna? Can't he have a hobby? And then she kind of just she's breaking down, and she goes to the bathroom. And Howard tries to play it off like, isn't it great having another couple to hang out with? We cut back over to Penny's apartment, and Penny is deciding if she wants to keep her shoes. Bernadette calls in a complete frenzy.
So I get 1 point for being like Penny here, because I don't see... She's actually making the shoes talk to her. Shoes talk to her, telling her to keep them because she looks so good in them. I don't see Sheldon ever doing that, but I do that, maybe not with shoes, but with just random shit. And I'm reminded of, if you watch Bob's Burgers, Bob does it with, like, food and, like, turkeys and stuff. Like, cook me, Bob! And, like, I do that. So at one point, like Penny, I don't think that's something Sheldon would ever be caught dead doing, and I'm definitely like that.
What was the last one? Your smoker? Smoke some meat.
Smoke? You want to smoke meat, Ryan? Actually, it's like I have this big bottle of Jack Daniels that's on a pivot thing that you, like, tilt. And I recall tilting, like, drink some of me, Ryan. No, Jack, I can't do it.
Jack, Jack, you vixen.
You vixen.
Okay.
I see your curvature.
The curvature of that bottle is looking It's 45.5 degrees.
Perfect.
Just how I like it.
Those are baby bearing hips, Jack.
Well, I love Amy's intensity. How she's like very quick to, I think we have to kill her. And just like last episode, how like she was very quick to plan Priya's death.
Yeah.
She goes to murder very quickly.
Very quickly.
And then to change the topic, she said that she could go back to Leonard going to India to meet Priya's parents. And Penny just kind of freaks out. She's like, wait, what? Does that mean they're getting engaged? And she's like, I don't know. I'm too focused on the astronaut story. What astronaut? Turns out it was auto-correct. It was supposed to be architect. Bernadette is just losing it. Howard knocks on the door. And I just love that she just stops and screams, it was an architect! Well, now we jump over to a coffee shop. Raj has taken the drug and he's going to test it out. He approaches a woman and it works. And Sheldon is just there to observe. I like how they play that off. We're scientists. We observe everything. Go buy a scone.
I get a point for being like Sheldon there, getting distracted like that. In fact, I'm pretty sure my dad has given me $20 before and said, like, go buy something nice. I'm like, okay. Easily distracted. Given money to buy a scone. I could definitely see me acting that way. And we have two guest stars.
Yeah.
Right? You want to talk
Yes,
about
we
them?
do. Yes, we have Elsie the barista, played by Whitney Avalon. I haven't really seen a lot of stuff that she's been in, but I actually watched her demo reel, and she is an absolute delight. She does this thing called Princess Rap Battles, where she dresses up as princesses and they rap each other. So I actually hopped on YouTube and watched one, and they were pretty good.
I believe I've seen those before. I think people have posted them on my Facebook, or I've seen them on Facebook feeds or something. So I'm like, I saw that. I'm like, I've seen those, but I didn't necessarily recognize her. But she's a delight.
I feel like she would have fit right in on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Did you ever watch that show?
I don't think so.
It's a musical. So Rachel Bloom is the creator and star in it, but it's a musical. Mm-hmm. So it's like every episode has like two or three songs, but they're very similar. Mm-hmm. How it's like kind of like very comedic and everything. Great songs. I actually listened to that album, like all four of their albums, because it was four seasons.
Yeah,
I actually just listened to it over and over again.
Because it's good music.
They're so good. And a lot of them are really funny, too. So I recommend it if you're into musicals, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
I'll check it out. I've heard good things about it. It's one that I've heard about, so...
Yeah.
Good things about it.
And then we also meet Angela, played by Tiffany DuPont. And I've actually never seen her in anything else. She's kind of just like... does like small roles here and there, just like TV shows. Just like one episode here and there. But then recently she was on... Grey's Anatomy.
I did see her, and when I saw pictures, I recognized her from American Horror Stories, which is different than American Horror Story. American Horror Story has a spin-off where each season's like, I don't know, like 5 different scary stories. And they're kind of hit and miss, not great. Nothing compared to Black Mirror. I think Black Mirror is like a art form. I think it's fantastic. These are more just kind of like, kind of cheesy Tales from the Crypt, although there's one about a girl who was a, what's it called?
A robot wearing heels.
It's the Hills. She was a necrophiliac. She wanted to sleep with dead bodies, and it, like, had backstory, and I thought it was really clever. I don't think it got great reviews, but, like, to this day, like, I don't remember many of the episodes, but that one still has me thinking about, like, what happened and why it happened. But different episode, but Tiffany DuPont was in one of the American Horror Stories, and she was in 40 episodes of Greek. And I loved Greek when it was on. I watched every episode. And did you ever watch that show?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I have not watched it.
It had Kelsey Grammer's daughter in it, who is now the daughter of, or plays the voice of the daughter on Rick and Morty. And she's in college and is like maybe the head of a sorority or very popular in a sorority. And her brother comes to college and she's like 2 years older than her or something and wants to get involved with a fraternity. And he's kind of like Big Bang Theory nerd guy who's smart and everything. And he doesn't really fit in with the fraternity life. And in like the first episode, I think her boyfriend ends up punching him. And so he can't get in that fraternity. And because he got punched by like the higher up at one of the fraternities, like another fraternity just automatically accepts him because they hate that guy. And then it's about how the Greek fraternities and sororities all battle each other and fight each other. And so anyways, Tiffany DuPont was one of the sorority sisters, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I'm like, shit, I remember that. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But
Yeah, I went to like one frat and I realized quickly that that lifestyle was not for me.
it's
It
like,
was
no.
very quick. I just went in I was hanging out, a friend brought me because it was like a friend of a friend. So they got me into the frat. Just it's kind of like it was like during the day for like a hangout and everything. I was like, this place is fucking disgusting.
That's I've heard they are not.
It's disgusting. It smells horrible. And then I went to the bathroom and was like, nope, 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 nope. We got to go.
I gotta go pee now.
Yeah.
I don't, I had walked by and I had seen. I don't know if I had ever went into a frat house.
It's not worth it.
It's
Don't
not
worry
worth it.
about
I'm probably cleaner because of it, but
it. There is no curvature or lumbar on that frat house.
no matter how many high heels that frat house is wearing, I'm not gonna like it.
Yep. Well, Raj is very charming. She says her name is Angela, and he says it's derived from the word angel, and it's very appropriate. And then he starts stripping down.
Just making himself
Not
more comfortable.
Yeah, not a care in the world. And then he full on takes his pants off and everything. Ta-da! My penis.
I really thought it was weird. For some reason, I thought he was going to be talking and talking, and then we are going to find out that he just passed out and never talked to her. And this was much better. I thought it was more creative. And,
Oh, you thought it was gonna be like a dream? Like he was
yeah,
actually
yeah.
dreaming the whole thing.
He's like so elegant and it's going so well, and then it turns out that he passed out before he talked to her. But
Yeah.
nope, he does, and then he's like, "My penis."
Well, now we jump back over to Roger's apartment, and Bernadette gets Priya alone in the kitchen, and she probes her about them getting engaged. And then Priya says, "Oh, no, 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 we're not there yet." And then Bernadette tries to excuse herself, and she gets called out, like, "Hey, are you okay?" And it was actually very genuine concern, like, "Hey, are you okay? You've been in there a lot."
Yeah.
Like, a lot. And then it all just falls apart. Bernadette's like, "No, I'm a good girl. I went to Catholic school."
Good
Just
girl.
like bolts. And then she storms off, and I like Howard just like runs after her. It's like, "Oh, great night. You win." Just knocks it over.
knocks it
On the
over.
table and just runs off. And the word they're all looking for is befuddled.
Befuddled.
Well, now we're at the ending. We're at the apartment, and Sheldon, Howard, and Leonard are playing three-person chess. And Sheldon added even more.
It's gone
new
off the
pieces.
rails. I love
Yes.
it, but it's
A catapult, a transporter pad, Queen's gorilla, a golf cart, time machine, a beekeeper, and the Pope.
the Pope.
And Raj is still naked.
Nah, tripping.
And they're oddly okay with it, but not really.
Right? They just allow it. I looked into this. I don't think it's a full IQ point, but I was curious over how much trouble could he get into. And again, we've talked about how I can suspend my disbelief, and in this case, I think I can. But it's also technically that is public indecency in California. And I was curious how much trouble could he get into, and if he's taken medication, although the medication isn't doctor prescribed, I don't know if it would count as an excuse if there's an um, extreme variable at play in his exposure. I'm guessing that would call into it, but it became pretty clear when I was looking into this that public indecency exposure is they call it wobbler offense. And it can be charged in many different ways, depending on what they go after. And so it could be a misdemeanor or it could be a felony. And I guess a big part of what plays into this is if it's aggravated. So if there's some sort of intent or elevated situation, like if you are at a park just walking around naked and nobody's really there, maybe it's a misdemeanor. But if you're flashing people in a toilet and trying to assault them, definitely a felony, right? So it just kind of depends, and there's no real, from what I was seeing, strong boundaries like we classify it this way for that or this way for that. For the misdemeanor, it's like $1,000 and up to 6 months in county jail with an obligation to register as a sex offender for 10 years. For a felony, I think it's 16 up to 16 years in state prison, 2 to 3 year sentences maybe, and up to $10,000 in fine, and also register as a sex offender for a minimum of 10 years. And I don't know if that starts after you get out of jail or what, but apparently the sex offender status is 10 years for both of them. But I'm only bringing this up because I actually dated a woman who had been charged with public indecency because she peed on the street. She couldn't find a bathroom, and it was like a late night of bar hopping and everything was closed, and the cop caught her for going to the bathroom. And so technically he would probably be charged with public indecency, exposing himself. I'm guessing probably towards misdemeanor, and since he was on a prescription, probably no jail time, but he would probably face fines and may have to report himself, register as a sex offender for that. So it's technically a big deal. And I thought it was funny, but at the same time, it's really no joking matter, I guess. But they made it funny, and we can go with it because nobody got hurt, I guess. So, and I don't think he never would have done that if he had been in his right mind and not on a prescription.
Yeah, sure. That's probably how they got away with it.
Yeah. Or they just ran and nobody knew who he was. So go!
That's cool. I mean, yeah, they paid cash, so they didn't know.
Right, no credit cards.
Well, that's the episode. So hopefully Raj stays off the drugs.
Stay off him. Just say no, Raj.
Yep.
Stick to your booze.
Well, now we have the vanity card. Chuck Lorre Productions number 343. I've been studying up on the psychological phenomenon known as projection. Sigmund Freud explained it as the mental mechanism by which a person attributes to others the very qualities he or she despises and cannot confront in themselves. I've also been learning about passive-aggressive behavior. This is language and actions that are abusive but cleverly hidden behind a thin veil of civility. For example, the first two sentences of this vanity card. Is that really passive-aggressive?
I think he would be telling the person that they are projecting, or maybe he's projecting his issues on them, but he's doing it passive-aggressively.
Yep.
That's a hard one for me to follow.
Yeah, he's definitely aiming that at someone.
Yeah. Maybe his ex-wife. Maybe he's not completely over that divorce.
Not over. Yeah, ever since the wounds are starting to heal, his vanity cards are becoming less interesting. The freshly divorced ones were probably the best ones so far. The longest, but
interesting, right? Poor
let's count some points.
Traumatized Chuck. All right, so we are at 131 points, me not like Sheldon, and 126 like Sheldon. So we actually just went up a point on both sides this episode, and it's stayed within the 5-point difference, 131 to 126.
And we got 5 IQ points.
Nice.
Again, great episode. I really enjoyed all the IQ points. I really enjoyed the overall arc of this, that it is kind of advancing everything. I still like Priya. I love Amy and Bernadette. They are adding so much to the show.
And despite the criminal activity of Raj's antics, it was hilarious. And like you can see Sheldon in the background covering his mouth like this because he is about to burst out laughing when Raj takes his pants off.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious, and Raj pulled it off so great with a straight face, like, I don't see what's wrong.
She didn't. She left before she got to see my penis. So this drug makes you very confident.
Very confident and very comfortable.
Yeah.
Just getting more comfortable.
All right. Any other last minute things?
That's all for me. Fun episode, and we are winding down. 2 more episodes for season 4.
Yeah. Things are gonna go down.
Something's gonna happen. They are escalating.
Things are all happy and fun.
That's fluffy. Fun and fluffy.
All right, well, thanks again for listening. Remember to follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Send us some comments at theoreticalnonsensepod and email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. And we will see you next time when we talk Season 4, Episode 23, The Engagement Reaction. See ya!
Thanks for listening.
This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Al Sproul. Thanks for listening.
Those are baby-bearing hips, Jack.